Today, we are having a conversation about step families in wartime and what that looks like. You are not going to want to miss it. I'm Cameron. I spent years building my career and creating a life I loved. And when my Prince Charming finally showed up, he had 4 kids in tow. Fast forward through lots of mistakes made and lessons learned, step family life was much more complicated than I realized. If you're looking for help with blended family life, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Stepmom Diaries, where we keep it real as we dish about all the things. This is your weekly dose of blended family inspiration and encouragement. You're not the wicked stepmother, so let me help you find your fairy tale ending. Come on, let's do this. Today, you are in for a treat, and we're going to be talking about a heavy topic, but it was an absolute pleasure for me to bring today's guest on. She is a step family expert living in Tel Aviv and has done a lot of work studying the current wartime environment in Israel, how that is impacting step families. Her name is Sigal Kaplan, and you are really going to enjoy this discussion. Sigal has a very impressive bio. She's got a BA in education, a master's in organizational consulting. She has been certified by the Adler Institute, the Ministry of Education, and the Step Family Foundation in New York. She is a specialist in working with families in situations around divorce and with step families. She teaches a course inside a professional certification course, working with families in the divorce process and step families at the Tel Aviv seminar Hakabutzim. Y'all know my pronunciation is terrible. I'm lucky that I got Sigal's name pronounced correctly. She's founder of the Children First Project, supporting children and families in situations of divorce. She's certified in parental coordination. She professionally accompanies the OGEN project, which is adolescents whose parents are divorced, supporting children of divorced parents. And she's married to Aaron Kaplan. She is stepmom to Noah and a bio mom to Ariel, Ben, and Zoe. We had an absolutely fascinating discussion. And I'm going to add to it. We were chatting after I hit stop on this episode, but we were talking about the impact of war on step families, and a dynamic that we were talking about when we were not recording was the fact that a number of families, particularly in the southern part of the country, are living in hotels because their homes were burned. And so you have not just a family confined to a hotel room, but a step family, many of them. So thinking about the step family dynamics and how they are at play when you are in this time of national trauma, when you are all living in one room together and all the pressure that comes with that. It is just a really, obviously what's going on in Israel and in Gaza is a horrible situation anyway, but getting this sort of picture into step family life there right now is something that I think everyone needs to be aware of, and to understand that these dynamics don't go away when you're in that situation where you're dealing with daily trauma. Every day you're living it. Not only do these issues not go away, but they get amplified. So anyway, it is a fascinating discussion. I think you'll enjoy it. So let's dive right in. Sigal, thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, thank you so much for asking me. I'm really thrilled to be here.
No, I'm so glad to be connected with you. And I mentioned in the intro, but to say again that Patricia Papernow actually connected us. And when I heard about some of the work that Sigal had been doing, I was like, we've got to put this on the podcast, because I think that people will be so interested in what you're working on. So, I want to start, we'll backtrack a little bit. I always love to ask my guests, because you're a stepmom also, I always love to ask my guests what their stepmom origin stories are. So like, how did you meet your husband and become a stepmom? Give me all the fun details.
Oh, okay. Well, I met my husband, Aaron. Aaron is actually American. He's from Chicago originally.
Oh.
Yeah. And, but he came here when he was 9, but, all the family is American. And, I met him when I was 27 years old. And he had been separated for a year. And he was in a very difficult process of divorce process. And I arrived single, and he arrived with a 4 years old girl, beautiful girl with big blue eyes. Aww. And I fell in love at the beginning. That's the story, you know, like the fantasy time. At that time, I was an actress actually at that time, and I also enjoyed trying out, you know, motherhood. And we saw plays together, and we play in the gardens, and I even, you know, did mingles with the mothers in our kindergarten. And the thing is that, like any relationship that doesn't have a deadline, the honeymoon phase is over. And the little one began to understand that father's new girlfriend is here to stay, and which it's then start, you know, serious, consequences of like she wants her father back, and she felt like I'm there, and I'm taking her father from her, and she wanted to, you know, her father and mother come and live together again. And it's like exactly like what Patricia always say, you know, in the 7 steps, when the picture becomes, you know, more clear, and suddenly you notice that along with the girl comes an entire corporation, like ex-wife, like, like parents of the ex-wife, like lawyers that, you know, that sees mostly the client and not the family unit. And everyone lived together in a kind of illusory common, with the collective lack of enthusiasm from each other. And when the first, I think the first tough time for me, the really first tough time, when I was pregnant, when my first girl, my first newborn, the mutual child came, and I was in crisis that time. Suddenly, you know, the biological mother met the stepmother, and the emotional gap between the two, and what's, you know, made more conflict between me and my husband, and me and her, and a lot of tension around every visit, and anger at her mother that I really, you know, throw on her. And I was looking for information for a lot, and there was nothing. You know, it was those days. It was like my first child came 1997. It's another century. And
I'm with you. My stepkids always say, "Oh, you were born in the 1900s." Oh my gosh.
Well, yes, we were vintage.
I'm right there with you. Yes, we're vintage. I like it.
And I was looking for information about Stepfamily, you know, understand mainly why I feel the way I do.
Yeah.
And any, you know, if there's something that I can understand, because I felt like the Grimm brothers actually were right, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I felt very bad, very, very, I don't know. I felt, you know, when you stand in front of the mirror and you say, why I feel to this girl like I feel, it's a very bad feeling. And so what I did when I was at my third pregnancy with my third child, almost at the end, it was 8 months. And then I just appeared to a parenting in a room of editor of a parenting magazine. And I said, hello, my name is Sigal. I'm a stepmother. I can't find anything about stepfamilies. And I want to write about it. I want to investigate this. And she says, she was looking at me and, she was kind of bored what I said. And she said to me, what, stepfamilies? It's a niche. It's not. How many stepfamilies are they? And I think, but then I started to write and I wrote one article every now and then. I wrote articles about stepfamilies, but mostly about families. And every magazine, since then, I'm writing in magazine, in the beginning in the writing magazine, and then on the net. And I wrote about families and then about stepfamilies. And since 2011, I'm writing in a very big website of news, and I'm writing about because Ynet doesn't say to you anything, but it's the largest news website in Israel, and parents in the parents section about stepfamilies, and so this is something that. So if you ask why I'm doing what I'm doing, everything it's I can just say to my stepdaughter, thank you for this.
Yeah.
Because she really teach me something, and I improved myself as a person after that.
I love that you said that, because I feel like that too. I feel like, and I spoke a couple of days ago at a summit, and she was asking me what the greatest joy about being a stepmom was. And I was like, nobody ever asked that question, but I feel the same way, that like I've learned so much from my stepkids, and even from all the high conflict, like about me, about my husband. Like, I think that it is when you can kind of get through, the stuff and kind of take a look back and say, wow, I would not be who I am were it not for these situations that I was in.
I wouldn't be able to. That's exactly. And it took a long time, in a very tense, environment. But today I can say I'm a step grandma.
I love that. I love it. How many step grandkids?
It's there's one girl, and now she's going to have the second one.
Oh,
and it's great. Oh,
I love it.
Looking
That's
forward,
amazing.
To see if there's also a gap between those two. Your own grandchildren and the grandchildren, bio grandchildren, or step. It's not step, and it's a grandchild.
Yeah, and we say that in our family too. It's my parents are, the kids are like, what should I call them? I'm like, just call them a grandparent. It's just easier.
Yeah,
like that's what they are.
She calls me, and she married a boy, a guy, that his parents are also divorced.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a startup. She has 4 grandmothers and 4 grandfathers. So it's startup.
Amazing.
Always have someone to take care.
Amazing. Well, so before I do want to get into, obviously, like there's a lot going on in Israel right now that impacts stepfamilies, and I want to get into that. But I'm just curious, and I think that the stepmoms that listen to this will be curious too. We focus a lot on kind of the numbers and the stats on, stepfamilies here in the U.S. What does that demographic look like in Israel? Like how many, what are the percentage of stepfamilies, and, how prevalent is it?
So they can't really, we can't really measure the stepfamilies in Israel, because many couples are not getting married, so they're not, going through the ministry, doesn't do it officially, so they they can't write them down. They can't
Right. So
count
even though
to
they are a step family, they're not officially recorded as one.
Usually people doesn't want any kids anymore. They don't care, don't want to, don't really enthusiastic to get married. Anyway, they tried to measure the step family once. They couldn't do that. But we have now in Israel 37% percentage of divorce. You know, it's divorce. When I say 37, this is the last statistic.
It's a little bit less than the U.S. That's interesting.
Yeah. So it's divorce without, it's everybody with kids, even one kid. You know, there's more if you count also divorce without kids, but this is not our interest.
Right. Okay. Gotcha.
So there's a lot, and you know what? I find that there's also that's what I found, that there's also more and more divorced people that in the ultra orthodox sections, and this is really unregular. And I tell you why. And this is something that happens, and for the last few years, more and more, because they don't tend to divorce. You know, the ultra orthodox are really into, you know, family. And divorce is a stigma there. If you get divorced, and you know, this is I was interviewing some ultra orthodox women and women, and they said that if you're a widow, so the community really, you know, hold you and really help you in everything. It's very close communities. There's many kind of sections in divorce. There's if you know what's Hasidic, you know what's Hasidic?
Yes, Hasidic. Yes, Hasidic.
So there's many kind. They're not the same. Each section has their own laws and their own values, and they're really strict about it. And so, if you're in your section, you know, you become a widow, so they really hold you, and everybody help you, and they even put money in the bank with, you know, for you, and help and take care of your kids, and tell you go and take, you know, have a vacation, just relax. And you know, when I say kids, they have many kids.
Yeah,
usually many kids. If you're a divorce, it's another world. Divorce. All the interviews in my article were afraid to get divorced because it's a stigma.
Wow.
Because it's they were afraid that they won't take the kids to schools and kindergartens, and they're afraid from the people around that they will say that something is not good with them, and the kids want to play with their kids and everything. But they said that they were surprised that it wasn't like that, and the families were very supportive, and this is something that I really found that it's great. But there are more and more divorce in the ultra orthodox. And this is very interesting. I can talk like ever if you want. Stop me and ask me.
No, that is so interesting, because I think that, you know, we've seen that in sectors in the U.S. as well, you know, and I think over time, you know, certainly the stigma has lessened. But that's fascinating. Well, let's talk a little bit about, I mean, obviously Israel is all lenses in the world are focused in on what's going on in Israel right now, between what's happening in Gaza, and now, as of today, when we're recording, you know, with Lebanon and just this morning on the news, I saw that a couple of missiles had been intercepted before they hit Tel Aviv, which is where you are.
Yeah, I
So,
was off running. I went out to run, and suddenly there was an alarm, and I was running into a house.
oh, it's
Ordinary.
terrifying to me.
Oh, well, we used to it. It sounds terrible, but we used to it,
Yeah.
And you don't want to get used to it, but we used to it.
But you are, yeah.
Yeah, and
Well, so, with everything that's going on there, obviously, there have been there's been a lot of attention on the humanitarian issues going on in Gaza.
yeah.
Talk to me though we're not going to talk about that today. We'll leave that to CNN. Let's talk about the impact on stepfamilies, because that is something that, nobody's talking about. And,
Cameron,
we're talking about, yeah.
That was very interesting. I'm sorry. That was very interesting to see it. Actually, when I investigate that, it was in the beginning of the war, and everybody were, in a very, it's a terrible event. It's the most terrible event that happened to us since Israel,
absolutely.
race. And it brought us all into a national trauma and intense, and everybody was, there's a lot of you lose your control in everything. You lose them. You're more alert. You're much more alert, and overwhelming with feelings and everything. So what I found about it and how its influence on Stepfamily was very interesting. It was influencing mostly, if we take, Patricia's 5 challenges. So it was mostly, the first one was the insider outsider. It's made it more. And I'll tell you, you have to understand what happens, when we in a situation of survival, we are goal oriented. We want to survive. Right. As parents of children, the basic thing that you do is to protect your children.
Right.
You want to get, and the children, the only defense, the only, safe feeling that they get from the parents. They don't, most, you can tell them there's an army, there's this, but if the parent is there and give them safe feeling, they feel much more secure.
Yes, absolutely.
So the bio parents went more to secure the kids, and the non-bio parents felt more outsider because they were also in a very insecure feeling, and they wanted the partner to pay attention, to be with them, but he was, or she was, mostly the women. Let's put it on the, let's say.
But that's totally understandable. And I can hear Patricia in my head saying, they're turning away from the spouse and towards the children. And, I can totally see that happening. And I can also see that being really difficult for stepmom, and for the stepmom having a lot of feelings about, like, well, wait a minute, my spouse is turning away from me, and I kind of need some of that attention. But then I could also see stepmom feeling really guilty for having those emotions. Like,
always guilt,
especially in a life and death situation, right?
She feels bad, but he feels bad. And this is the stuck insider coming. And then, a lot of husbands also, or a lot of partners also went to the army. And when they came, they wanted to see the kids. And she was like, but I'm here. I also need you. And he wants to be with the kids because, you're really oriented to protect your kids, and you want to see them and you want to be with them. This is one thing that I found very, 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 that was really an issue with couples who came to my clinic. And the second thing was the biomom and the stepmom. the fifth challenge.
Yeah. What does that
So,
look like in a wartime situation when it is, you're focused on life and death
yeah.
and, you
So
have this tension?
yeah, you can understand that the situation is not a normal situation. So everything is normal in a non-normal situation,
Right.
and there's not what helps us, the stepmoms, when we're we to really manage the life that we didn't really choose from childhood to be stepmom. Yeah, but what helps us usually in the regular days is the routine. When the
Mm-hmm.
routine is really kept, and the day, the kids coming and the kids going, no schools, nothing. Um, Parents has, to go to the army, or parents or moms wants to be, it has to go somewhere. So they change days, they change times, and everything. Sometimes it happens very quick. Can you help me? Can you, without talking together like you do in regular days. And also this is something with all the emotion that's already in a high arousal.
Right.
So everything is more up, and there was really a lot of more anger about that. He is also connecting more with the bio mom, because there's a lot of the worry, and there's a really risk. But you can understand it logically, but what you feel, it's what you feel. You
Mm-hmm.
feel outside, you feel already that here, this is what we all the time talking about, give and help the outsider be insider, and always, to talk and everything. But you don't have the capacity at the time, and you don't think really like you think in regular days. You think more in a more, surviving mode.
Does it also
So
help? I mean, I know that one of the things that a lot of stepmoms that I work with struggle with is this idea that so much in their stepfamily life is out of their control, right? Like in the US, it's a lot of times like it's out of their control where they live because they need to live in the kids' school district. It's out of control when they can take vacations because it's got to work around the custody schedule and all that kind of stuff. And taking that and transposing it into, a situation like what's going on in Israel right now, where you're then adding all of this other stuff that's out of your control. I mean, I would imagine thinking about, first families that are in that same situation, they're sort of able to say, okay, well, the one thing I can control is my family because I can kind of pull them close. But in a step family, it's like you can't control that. And you've got all of these other
yeah,
factors that you can't control. Have you found that has added to all of the challenges?
yeah, because all the tragedy was that families got killed in their homes, and the parents couldn't protect their children, and now you
Yeah.
have it all the time in your mind. So when couples came to me, so it was like everything is now in our what we earn in the sessions. Now everything is in regression, going backwards,
Mm-hmm.
and everything falling apart. And you have to tell them it's not falling apart, and you have to help them to hold really the situation, and just be in another mood for a while. That this is a non-normal situation, that, like I said, and everything. It's not everything. There's nothing that's not normal in what happens, but also some tools to help them. I give, but that was the two things that I mainly see that were really, really, really arised in this situation. It was in the beginning of the war. Now we're like we're a year after, and things, I can admit that they less talk about it, but I can guess that I can see that we all we're not calm. We're in more tense feeling. I came back from Madrid 2 days ago, and it took me, I've been there for a week, and it was like, wow, actually, there's no alarms here. People walking on the street, they can sit like that. There's not news every 5 seconds, and you're not into it.
Yeah.
And when I came back, it was like poof on your face, like all the tense
and
together.
That's hard to exist like that, for this amount of time that kind of just keeps going on and on. And I mean, I have spent time, as you know, in Israel, and it is a beautiful, amazing country with beautiful, amazing people. And, I felt very safe everywhere we went.
Same.
But I mean, the thought, and I think as Americans, it's hard for us to imagine going outside on a run and, hearing alarms and knowing that you got to get home because something might be happening, I mean, I think that's just really difficult for people to imagine.
Yeah, it's difficult, and it's taking a long time. And that's why I think that for families, it's much more, if you're a nuclear family, it's very hard. So if you're a step family, it's much harder, because when everybody are.
Yeah. And I'm guessing that there aren't many people other than you focused on the impact that it's having on step families, right?
And not a lot. And, that's, we have something in common, Patricia Pfeffer now, that, which really helps me so much about it. And, I feel when people come, and probably you feel it too, when people come to me, usually they're coming after they took, they went to someone else to take, they ask for help for therapy and everything. And they gave them very good therapists with very not really good advices. So they came to me, and they're coming to me, and suddenly they're like, wow, you really understand me. This is the main thing that I feel every time, when people coming, and it's like, wow, someone understand that. That's what I missed when I was a stepmom. I didn't have something like that. And
no, it's amazing that these resources are now out there in a way that they weren't. And I became a stepmom just 8 years ago, and none of this was out. I mean, there was like a little bit out there, but not as much. And I think that there were certainly a lot of the researchers were doing research, but, it wasn't getting out necessarily to people. And it's wonderful to see that starting to happen more and more. And I love, being able to talk to people in other countries to see how this is evolving in other places in the world. And I think, where you are is a particularly fascinating snapshot, just, because of what's going on there right now. And, I thank you so much for being here with us. I feel like we could talk about this all day long. But thank you for being here with us. And, all of our thoughts and prayers are with you and everyone in Israel that is, going through the sort of national trauma that you all are experiencing right now.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for your support. And it was great to be to be in your podcast, and great to talk with you. And I really looking forward to have another date with you.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you
very much.
That's it for this week. If you've enjoyed our chat, I hope you'll help spread the word. Share this episode with friends, and head on over to wherever you listen to podcasts and leave me a review. And don't forget, for more great stepmom content, head on over to thiscustomlife.com and follow me on social media. Just search This Custom Life on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest. Until next time, you keep being you, and know that we are in this together. See you here next week.